The following podcast will walk and talk you through how to answer the following question. Choose one of the events in the boxes below and explain its importance in challenging the government of the Weimar Republic. Now what we'll do is we'll focus in on the first one, the Spartacist Revolt of 1919. Recommended time is 13 minutes to do this because it is a 9-mark answer, 1.5 minutes per mark, equals about 13 minutes. So immediately, remember with all the questions on the Life in Germany paper, questions 2 onwards, you really need to think about paragraphing. So what I've done here is I've written 3 different answers. The first one would score very lowly. As you can see, it is just simply a couple of questions. It is a simple statement. There is some relevant information in there. The Spartacists were communists who rose up against the government in Germany in 1919, so it shows recognition of who they were. The leaders were shot and the uprising failed. 3 relevant pieces of information that will probably get 3 marks out of 9. 33%. It would be a low achieving answer, probably a grade E or grade F. Now moving on to level 2. At first glance, this is a pretty solid answer. Let's just take a look at it. It's full of relevant information. The Spartacists were communist revolutionaries. They were inspired by the communist takeover in Russia. There's a date in 1917. They wanted to do the same in Germany in January 1919. You've got the names of the Spartacist leaders, Luxemburg and Liebknecht. The uprising was important in challenging the government of Germany, so it does just about touch what the question is about. And then there's information about that. They seized the headquarters of the government's newspapers. So you've got information about the actual events of the uprising. So the Newspaper and Telegraph Bureau, the German president using 4,000 ex-soldiers called Freikorps to crush the uprising. So that would probably score 5 or 6 marks. So the obvious question that follows from that is, why does it not score higher than that? 5 or 6 marks would be a high C, possibly pushing into a low B, but why not an A or an A star? Well, again, let's go back to the original question. The original question is the importance in challenging the government of the Weimar Republic, in particular that word importance. Many candidates, all they see is the word in the box, the Spartacist Revolt, and they think, right, I just write down everything I know about the Spartacist Revolt, and that will get me a good mark. No, it won't. If you just write down everything you know, it is what we call a descriptive answer. And that is why, if you go back to this, a descriptive answer, and you can tell a descriptive answer almost straight away because it is not paragraphed. So let's take a look at a good answer to this question. Okay, so here we are. This answer would probably score the full 9 marks. It's got the same information in from level 2, but what the candidate has done is has shaped that information so that it answers the question. How do you know that the information has been shaped? Because if you look at each paragraph, it was important because, it was important because, it was important because. Overall, in the conclusion, it was important because. So the candidate has put up many flags at the beginning of each paragraph, what we call topic sentences, that highlights why it was important. It's the same information as the level 2 response, but it is shaped so that it directly focuses on the question. Okay, so let's deconstruct that. A brief paragraph that will probably take 1 or 2, introductory paragraph that will take 1 or 2 minutes to write. In that paragraph, get it out of your system, say who the Spartacists were, and say what the Spartacist revolt was. So that's the description. You put it into your introduction. So they're a communist revolutionary group, the names of the leaders, what they did, the date they did it. Then link the introduction to what follows, because you're going to talk about why it was important. Actually, a little mistake there. It should, of course, say 3 reasons, because we've got 3 reasons to follow. Let's have a look at the 3 reasons. Firstly, it was important because it highlighted how weak the opposition to the Weimar Republic was. Okay, so it develops that point with another sentence. Basically, what it's saying is the Spartacists were turning against the government of the Weimar Republic, and the government of the Weimar Republic, like the Spartacists, were left-wing. The Spartacists and the Weimar government were very similar. They believed in the same things. They believed that wealth should be redistributed for the workers of Germany. They just disagreed on how to bring about that change. But the bottom line is the Spartacists and the government should have been working together rather than fighting each other. So that was one of the reasons why it was important to make that point. Secondly, it was important because it shows how weak the Weimar government was. Because the Weimar government, in order to defend itself against the Spartacists, had to turn to the Freikorps. They had to turn to 4,000 ex-soldiers who were on the extreme right wing, and they had to say, help us defeat the Spartacists who are on the extreme left wing. Now the Freikorps, just because they helped the Weimar government doesn't mean they liked the Weimar government. They despised the Weimar government as well. So the Weimar government turned to one enemy to defeat another enemy, basically. It really shows that caught in the middle, the Weimar government was weak. So you focus that second paragraph in on the Freikorps. The third reason, it was important because it shows how events from outside Germany were influencing what was happening in Germany. So the Russian Revolution was an event that inspired the Spartacists. So you then pull it together overall in a conclusion, show that it's a conclusion by using the word overall. The main reason why the Spartacist revolt was important, because although the uprising failed, it still showed how weak the new Weimar Republic was. So really focus on that issue. It demonstrates the weakness of the Weimar Republic. The government survived the threat not because it was strong, but because the opposition was divided. In other words, the Spartacists fighting against their own, in a sense, and they could only defend themselves by asking for help from the extreme right wing, the Freikorps. So in terms of timing, you've got 13 minutes there. I would advise 2 minutes on the introduction, 2 minutes on the conclusion, and then 3 minutes on each of those paragraphs. The important thing now is go away and have a go at writing that answer yourself. That's the end of this podcast. Hope that was helpful for you.